if you have a healing business, your willingness to evolve is a huge part of what makes your business successful. Hello and welcome back to Remember Why You're Here, a podcast for seekers and sensitives where you can relax, receive, reconnect yourself, and remember that most important thing of all, why you're here. In today's episode, I actually wanted to revisit, I think this might be the most popular thing I ever posted on YouTube, this video called 3 Tips to Start Your Healing Business. And I specifically wanted to revisit it because I'm in a very transitional phase right now with my business. I am leaving some models or ways of being behind. I'm embracing new ones. I am working specifically right now on an offering that will mean stepping back into one-on-one work. And people, oh my gosh, people have been asking me to do one-on-one work now again for years. And so I know there are going to be folks who are really excited about this. And I was curious because I haven't done one-on-one work since my daughter was born. Since before my daughter was born, I transitioned out of that and into just a different phase of my life and my work. But I've really gotten a strong message to step back into that work. So I'll be sharing more about that in a couple weeks. But I was curious to go back when I was like at the height of doing so much of my one-on-one work. I was doing herbal consultations. I was doing intuitive readings. I was doing business consultations called Vibrant Livelihoods consultations. And I was curious to see at that point in time in my evolution, what were these 3 tips that I talked about? So I re-listened to this and it really felt like a transmission from my younger self. I was like, thank you, younger self. Like I really needed to remember these 3 tips as I, start making some moves to step back into a one-on-one offering. I will be announcing that later this month or early next month. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I'm like, okay, Asia of the past, you knew what you were talking about. And I see why this video has whatever it has, like 50,000 views on YouTube. So if you are someone who has a healing business or wants to start a healing business, these are the 3 tips that I was using when I was doing one-on-one work. I also had my apothecary. I was also teaching. So this applies to really any kind of healing business where you are, working intimately with people. And it was really healing. It felt like a bit of a soul retrieval, to be honest with you, for me to listen to this, which is right, on theme with us this month, as I talked about in the August intuitive reading for this month. This is a month of kind of spontaneous soul retrievals and soul reunions and me reconnecting with this little bit younger self. I forget when I filmed this. Maybe it was 8 years ago, something like that. And realizing how much she knew felt like a soul retrieval. So I'm bringing her in as I am really envisioning this new era for me. So without further ado, let's step into these 3 tips to start your healing business. One offering in my consultation practice is a Vibrant Livelihoods consultation, which is basically sitting with other people who are looking to start a healing business and helping them to navigate how to get started, what tips or tools you might need along the way. It's been really cool to work with so many different new business owners. And I've noticed along the way some common patterns and common questions. And these are my 3 unconventional tips for starting a healing business. Number 1 is teach or offer what you want to learn. So this is pretty unconventional because most of the time you're going to hear teach or write about what you know. But what I've found to be true is that my most vivid and exciting material comes from teaching or offering something I am deeply passionate about learning. Our learning, our desires, our curiosity are really leading us always towards the leading edge of our path. And I often find that the stuff that I've been teaching or working with for years starts to lose some of its vim and vigor over time. The way in which I develop my teaching schedule is totally based on what I'm looking to explore for myself at this time. What feels most exciting for me? What's really invoking my curiosity? So, this isn't to say that I go into teaching something completely unprepared, but it is to say that I put something on the schedule knowing that I will have X amount of months or sometimes even years to delve into this topic. And what it really does is it sets up a regime for me to go deeply into learning about this. And ultimately, when I am then presenting this offer, this class, I am so fully in the motion of it and I'm so fully in my passion, people can really feel that. And it does a lot to bring others into that passionate moment of exploring what is really at the cutting edge of your interest. Number 2 is give 50%. So some of you are probably going like, what now? That sounds crazy. Because we hear so often on all the motivational posters, give 100%. I'm not saying to not give your all to your healing business, but what I've found is it's actually really important to give 50%, to have your heart and soul going into building your business, of course, but also to have things that have nothing to do with your business going on in your life, personal pursuits, interests, curiosities, and this includes downtime, having time for deep self-care and nourishment. Your business will dry out without this time of taking moments to refill the well. So when I say give 50%, I'm being a little bit cheeky here, but what I'm really talking about is this work-life balance. It's so important. And really reserving some things for just yourself. Because if every single thing in your life is always feeding directly into your business, it's going to start feeling like business is your life. And unless you're super passionate about being an entrepreneur, that's going to get you tired after a while. So reserving some things just for you and taking time for self-care, so important. It's also important to give 50% when you're teaching or in consultation work. So hear me out here. One thing that I see as a common pitfall, especially people with who are really empathic or big-hearted, is overgiving. Maybe giving too much information, too many protocols, being too available to jump right in with the answer. When we give quote unquote 50%, what we're really doing is leaving space for the student or the client to meet us. In any healing practice, you need to have two parties. Any healing is about relationship, right? So it's both you as a practitioner or a teacher and the person who's coming in for healing. You need to leave them space to actually take ownership of their healing. And if you jump right in with every answer or every ability to do everything for them, they're not going to have that space to come in and really own that. So sometimes it's good to sit back and really allow them to come up with the answer. Allow them to try figuring out that protocol of medicine making or whatever it is. So again, this is kind of a funny way to say it, but really ask yourself, am I leaving this 50% space for myself and my journey, and also for the journey of those that I'm working with? This leads us directly into the third point, which is get out of the way. Okay, so I'm not saying to check out at all. And in fact, when I'm working with people or I'm teaching, I am so fully there. I often forget about everything else going on in my life. But every time before I teach or I sit down in consultation, I prepare by asking to be a vessel. Ultimately, the healing that I'm channeling or the wisdom or the knowing that I'm channeling is coming in from a wider source, whether you think of that as your unconscious, your wider self, or a personal divine that you're connected into. Ultimately, you are channeling and bringing in this information and this healing for others. So one thing that I like to repeat as a mantra to myself before I see a client is, I am a hollow bone. I am a hollow bone. I am a hollow bone. And really what this is doing is taking your ego out of the equation. This is particularly helpful because it helps you to start letting go of expectations that this session will go a particular way, that you'll have particular insight to give, because ultimately we never know how a session is going to go or a class is going to go. But what we can do is get our conscious mind, our ego, our attachment to things out of the way and just be a channel for all that goodness to come through. And ultimately, to me, this feels so healing and supportive to know that it's not just me and my little mind and my rational ability to figure everything out, that there is a greater force at work here, and I am open to just being a part of it. I'm so curious, how did those tips land with you? What was your aha moment? Is there any of these tips that were new or different from you? I will say that when I posted this, I looked back at the comments, of which I think there are hundreds. But I looked back at the comments, and one of the biggest ones that came up again and again is the give 50%. People really resonated with that. And I will say, when that came to me, that was a missing piece for me. I really needed to hear that. And I honestly really needed to hear that again as I am stepping into this new iteration of my own healing business. And this is just one of these things about life and about your work and about your business is the longer you're at it, the more you will notice that you go through these different phases of evolution. You're never static. You never stay the same. So this is my 14th year of being in business. And so I'm really witnessing myself now enter a new era, take a leap into a new era of being, of sharing, of what platforms I'm on, of the kind of things I want to talk about, the layers of myself that I want to share that maybe I wasn't ready to share before. And I just think it's one of the coolest things of existence, to be totally honest with you, that we continue to evolve in this way. And if you have a healing business, your willingness to evolve out loud in this way is a huge part of what makes your business successful. So, if part of what you are working on in this year, of what you're building this month, is a business, I hope these tips were helpful. I would love to hear about what landed for you. You could head over to the Substack, my Substack, Remember Why You're Here, and leave a message. Or you could leave me a message over on my website. You could leave me a voice note over at asiasolar.com/remember. It's always so fun to get your voice notes. And I just love hearing about what clicks for you, because all of us here are really a part of one soul collective, here to help each other, here to support each other in growth. And hearing from y'all about what lands for you just really helps orient me as well. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the love, passion, energy you pour into this world. It really is such a gift. Your presence, your creativity in this world is such a gift. And, as you build whatever it is that you're turning your heart towards this month and this year, may it reflect back to you, your own bigness, your own depth, and may it help you remember that most important thing of all, why you're here.